What's going on, guys? We have Sensible Prepper Live. Robbie Wheaton with us today, and we've got some pretty cool stuff to talk about. But we do appreciate Robbie for being here.
Yes, sir.
Owns WheatonArms.com. He also has the Robbie Wheaton YouTube channel and does gun reviews over there. So make sure you go check him out. There will be a link down below in the description. And you've been doing gunsmithing for over 20 years.
I have. That makes me feel old when you say it like that.
Well, it is what it is, brother. But Robbie has a vast knowledge of a lot of firearms related stuff, and he's seen it, been there. And then also has a great line of Glock aftermarket parts. In fact, the flat face trigger is the best on the market, period. So check out Wheaton Arms.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
And also, we appreciate our sponsors today, and that would be Battle Box. And you get a 15% off your first order using Prepper. And then also Exotac. Exotac makes the best fire starters out there. They're down in Winder, Georgia. They also own Lionheart, which the Regulus, which I just did a video on, they own that company. I did not know that. And a lot of the Exotac products are made on the same machinery.
Yeah,
so
cool.
It really gives a lot of credibility to Exotac. And they have the best. And you get 20% off using Sootch 20 with the link down below in the description. And we appreciate
Exotac.
Those guys. Yes, we do. So today we're going to be talking about something. Well, I also want to recognize my daughter over there, Sarah Mack, and she will be monitoring questions, comments, things. So, and we'll take a little break and have some questions for you. Now, today we're going to do something a little different. A lot of this stuff intermixes with a lot of things that we've done in the past, but this is just some tips, quick tips, just to kind of get you thinking about different things from different areas of the prepping world. And sometimes being prepared can be overwhelming. There's a lot that you can do to get yourself in good shape for you and your family.
Yeah. The more prepared you are, the more unprepared you realize you are.
That is the truth. That is the truth. But one thing about prepping is, anything you do, that you really put a lot of energy into, you have to have some passion for it. Yeah. And so a lot of times, if you're not careful with the prepping, you can get like overwhelmed and just run around and just get obsessed with it.
Or burned out on it.
Yep. And, really, it takes a passion. It takes a passion to see what's going on in the world and to say, basic survival needs are very fragile. And man, through the ages, has known how to survive because he's lived close to the land. And we have been separated from that in a sense. Right. Yep. And convenience and luxury.
It's our disposable life that we live now. We throw everything away. You go to the store, you get it, you use it, you throw it away. Our appliances are disposable. Our food, for the most part, the way it's packaged, is disposable. It's a disposable life that we live. And you're right. We have got away from living off of the land and, using the land to provide for us every day.
Right. Now, we have been trying to get back to that, and we do our gardening and things like that. But these are more like, basic little tips, and hopefully it'll give you some insight. Maybe something you thought about. Maybe it's something you procrastinated to do. Maybe it's just something that you think, man, that's something we need to incorporate. Okay, so we're going to go through a few things first, and we're going to get started. And one of those things is something that a lot of times as preppers, we're not really thinking about, and it's current photos of your family. One of the big things in a crisis situation is people can get separated. Mm-hmm. And, and you can say, my daughter, she's got, blonde hair, she's got brown eyes, and, and she's wearing a red shirt, and there could be 100 girls like that in a big situation. So having current photos, your wife, your children, even yourself, and they have photos as well.
And not digital photos. That's the big thing nowadays. All of our photos that we take, they're all stored on a flash drive, a thumb drive, on our phone. We've all got thousands of pictures on different drives and stuff. But as far as actually having a hard paper copy of a photo, we just don't do those anymore. Most of your kids, you get school pictures and stuff from your kids, and you're like, delete. I'm not buying those. I've got a million pictures of my kids on my phone, and but we just don't use paper copies of photos anymore. People don't have, your photo album is digital now. It's not a big book that you can go out and pull out and look at all the cute baby pictures and scrapbooking and all of that stuff. That's all gone away. We don't have those hard copies to be able to pick up and say, oh, this is my family. This is my child. This is my wife. We don't have that anymore. It's all
we got
digital
25
now.
to go. So we got a lot to go.
All right.
Calm down.
All right. I just
you got your point.
It's passion. It's passion. Something that I'm passionate about.
Well, and too, having something to put those photos in, and Robbie's right. It's a very vulnerable with the electronic, but even with the paper photo, or and that is also vulnerable. So maybe having something that you put it in, even a Ziploc bag,
or laminate it.
Yeah,
most everybody has a laminator.
That's a great
at home.
idea.
Yep.
But you can just take a picture of your family, just one photo of the family. Get 5 copies, or we have 5 children, but or 5 people in our family. So we pass that out. People that are in your group, maybe take a group photo. If you're going together and you're doing something, have those group photos. If someone starts, is missing, you have that photo, they can see it. And then those people have those photos as well to get back to you. So if my daughter gets separated from me, she goes, I can't find my dad. And they're like, what's your dad look like? I don't know. So then they pop that up. So that is number one. Number 2 is phone numbers. Now, before cell phones, I memorized. We memorized all kind of phones. I mean, I had all these phones in my mind. Or I could just whip up a phone book. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen a phone book in a long time. I mean, they're around.
Or a Rolodex.
Mm-hmm. Rolodex. Yep. One thing I keep is a small little black book. And I don't keep ex-girlfriends' numbers in there. I keep a small little black book, and I can go through it. But having those numbers handy, because even my kids, sometimes I might be able to remember it, but I don't need it because it's like the calculator.
That's
you just
right.
quit using your brain for
things. That's right.
So having those phone numbers. That's number 2.
There's only so much room the Trapper Keeper can hold.
Yeah, and, it seems to be getting less.
We've had to allocate space that used to be used for phone numbers and addresses for more important things. Like guns and prepping.
Yeah, guns and prepping. Also, your important documents, deeds, titles, insurance information, and again, keeping those things in a very sealed, protected way. In fact, I can't think about it. There are these zip bags, and I've got them. I've got a bunch of them, and they're sealed, and they seal up watertight, and they're really protective. So having those items, your photos, your phone numbers, because phone numbers can get, your paper can get wet.
That's right.
And the elements is good. Or just in a natural disaster around your home. You could have a leak, you could have something that would just damage it. So it's good to go ahead and keep those things set aside and keep current photos. So after a couple of years, or 5 years, you need to change those photos out. Mm-hmm. So my son's 19. 5 years ago, he was 14. He looks a lot different. And so those are really vital in any situation, any disaster situation, any environmental, whatever. So make sure that you kind of put those aside. Have a copy to put in your bag. Have a copy maybe in your car. And it's something real simple.
It is.
So very simple to do.
Yep.
Documents are a little bit more, takes a little more time, but you can do it. I have faith in you. Okay. This is one. This is number 4. And this is kind of an unusual one. And I actually came across this one. It makes sense. Mm-hmm. But you have a freezer. Now, if you're like me, sometimes we don't have room for our stuff. A lot of times we cram it in there. Take water bottles, a bunch of different extra water bottles, and pack them in your freezer in different places. Now, what that does is you have fresh water that you can get to if you need to.
Full water bottles, not empty ones.
Yeah, full water bottles. Secondly, if you have a power outage, that ice is going, and that water is going to turn to ice. It's going to give you longer storage capability. Right. It's going to keep your items cooler.
That freezer just became a cooler, a long-term cooler for your food.
Right. It's just like putting in ice packs in your cooler. So it's a simple thing. It doesn't cost you anything really. Just pack them in your freezer, and it's going to help, especially if you have meat that you really want to protect as well. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of the vegetables and things you can do without, but pack that ice around, those bottles around that. And then again, it is a storage for your water bottles. And so if you need to take, and 2, you can say, hey, you know what? I'd like a cold water, to take with me. So you grab that and you replace it. And very simple to do. Water bottles are very cheap. And the smaller ones are better because sometimes you have a lot of stuff that's packed in. We just bought a brand new freezer. And the one thing about that freezer is it has technology to where if the power goes out, it seals up. It's pretty cool. It'll just seal up and it'll help things last longer. Mm-hmm. So then putting that ice in there is is another thing. Now that's number 4. And we're going to kind of go through these pretty quick because we really have a lot to cover. And
other than number 1, which I went off on a tangent on.
No, you're fine. Robbie was excited. He had a passion. Number 5. Now, this is one that some people think about, but it's really just one of those that it's like you might as well go ahead and do it. Is if you have boots or shoes that you're going to wear in a tough situation, is to lace them up with paracord. Just go ahead and remove your shoestrings. And 2, it'll give you a stronger lace up capability.
It is so much more durable than regular laces.
Oh,
and I mean, how many shoelaces have you broke in the last 20 years?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's the most inopportune time too. You're getting ready to go somewhere, pop, snap a lace. I despise shoelaces for that reason, that very reason.
We'll get you some paracord and get yourself hooked up.
That's it.
And you can burn the ends to keep them from unfraying. Go ahead and run your paracord through. Now, one thing you can do, now, first off, and just like Robbie was saying, it's going to keep your shoelaces good durable. But really, the second thing is you'll have paracord if you need it. Now, for me, I was thinking when I was just considering paracord in my boots is, well, if I need paracord and I pull it out of my boot, then my boot's not going to have any laces. But what you can do also is once you lace through, have extra and wrap it around your boot. And so wrap a couple of feet around each of your boots and then tie them down good. And then it gives you at least a couple of feet of paracord to make a tie down for a shelter or something, or if you just need to tie off something for your pack.
Well, you can even measure out the length that you need for your ties and multiply that out by 3 or by 4. And then you've got enough paracord there that if you do have to cut a piece off, you can pull your length off and you've got 3 or 4 more wraps that you can do to be able to tie your boots back up.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Just and having paracord with you in a pack is smart anyway. But some of this stuff is if you get caught.
That's right.
Now, I was just reading a story. It's EMP, Equipping Modern Patriots or something. I don't remember the title of it now, but really good book. And it's about an EMP where this guy's in his office working and all of a sudden everything shuts down, his car shut down, everything. And then he's going, okay, what do I do? And it's wintertime and he's not really prepared to walk home. And so he
doesn't affect us as much here in the South.
Yeah, but buddy, if it's snowing outside or if it's cold, it's just cold.
That's right.
But you're right. It's not quite as bad, but especially in climates that get a lot of snow and a lot of cold weather. But having some supplies ready to go in different locations because you can be in certain places. Okay, number 6, and this is something that a lot of us do, battery backups. Having battery backups, a lot of people that use their phone a lot, they've got to have that battery backup. I don't personally use my phone as much, so I don't usually need it, but there are times where I've had to have it. But not only having the battery backup, but keeping it charged and having the cable to charge your phone.
I tell you, I bought a battery backup a few years ago for one reason and one reason only: when I go hiking. If I'm out in the woods, I'm going to be gone for a day or 2. I want that battery backup with me to where if something happens to me, I get injured, I've got a way to keep my phone charged.
Right.
And I carry it for that one and only reason.
Right.
Because it gives me that extra power if and when I ever need it.
Right. And you could be in a place that doesn't have, and sometimes, like you're at the airport. Now, a lot of times they have connections and you can do stuff.
I love those stickers that go on the wall that look like an outlet. It's the funniest thing ever. See people poking them, trying to get their cord in there. I'm a horrible person.
But that's pretty funny. So, having battery backup, to me, one step farther is to go with maybe a solar powered battery backup, because if you start to lose power, you can charge it up. It's a trickle charge and it takes longer, but it definitely gives you an added capability. And there's a lot of choices out there. We use the Dark Star, which they're actually rated to take shotgun rounds.
Really?
22.
We'll have to test that.
Yeah, we should. I said I was going to test that 5 years ago, and I didn't. So, but yeah, having some kind of battery backup, making sure that your phones particularly, but also flashlights, things like that. A lot of those have charging cables. Keeping that stuff together, it can give you that extra edge.
It's like the USB charger for the Olight flashlights, to be able to plug that into your battery backup and keep it charged for if you get stuck out in the woods and you need it.
That's right. You got that little charger on the back, just pop it on, plug it in.
And so many things are going to USB now for charging capability that having that extra battery backup is just, it helps out a lot, especially if you're somewhere without power. It's nice to have it right there in your pocket.
Right. And if you forget it, keep one in your car. I mean, you can get a couple there. Most of them are fairly inexpensive.
They are. So
you can have a redundancy there. And to me, power and communication are very important. And that's if the cell phone service is up. But if it's not, you can use that for flashlights and things. Okay, we're going to go with a couple more. We're going to start taking questions. So if you have some questions, you can go ahead, and Sarah Mack is going to be following along. Okay, this is one that sometimes I don't think about. I mean, I've got my water. I drink water. When we go to the range, a lot of times, my wife packs other drinks, Body Armor, different type drinks, because you get the electrolytes, you get better, it filters through your system better.
Yep.
And so having drink mixes, this is just something simple, but having some drink mixes, the military uses those in their packs. They'll and sometimes, maybe you have a water source that doesn't taste as well. You can boil it. You can put a little Clorox in it. You can put water purification tablets in it, but it has a funky taste to it. And so having, little small drink packs that'll give you the electrolytes is just a great way.
And a little added flavor.
Right.
Something other than just the blandness of water. A lot of us get tired of drinking just plain water. You're like, I just don't want to drink any more water today. I just can't make myself do it. It's nice to have a little flavor that you can add to your water as well as the electrolytes that you get with it.
Right. That's why I drink sweet tea.
There you go.
They need a sweet tea pack.
They do. No. You can't pack enough sugar in that.
No, you'd have to be about that big. We like our sweet tea here in the South. Okay. Now, number 8. This is something that's a little different. And this is an office kit, but if you work in you could work in a manufacturing place. You could work where you could be in a different type place. You could be out on the road doing stuff. But having just a small kit with the essentials, like a flashlight, like a small little med kit, some paracord, or maybe some duct tape. Just a few things that you have tucked away, a small little, very minimalist survival kit. And so if you find yourself stuck somewhere, you're able to get to it. Now, for me, I always keep a get home bag in my car.
Yep.
I mean, it's there. I've got my essentials in there, but let's say for some reason I can't get to my car, or I need something right there. And so having something just in your workplace that's close by that you can get to, especially a flashlight. I think that's one of the big things. Now, some of us carry flashlights all the time. I carry one EDC.
Well, and even most of our phones now have a flashlight on them.
Right.
So, that's a good little, and there's upgraded flashlights apps you can download that are brighter. But yes, you're right. Having a flashlight, if you get stuck in an office building, there's an EMP, it's gonna be black. I mean, like hand in front of your face.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Black.
That's a good point.
So having that flashlight with you, whether it's on your phone, knowing where your phone is, having an external flashlight in your pocket, so you don't kill the batteries on your phone in case you still need it. It's a good idea to always have a flashlight on you.
Yeah, but just think about some of the essentials that you could a small little knife. And some businesses won't let you bring in knives, but a small little Swiss Army knife that's not very threatening,
nondescript.
Yeah, and it makes it really easy to just tuck away. Safety pins, things like that. If you just want to make a small little survival kit and have that handy. Okay, let's think about some questions. If you have some questions, we'll take them, and then we'll keep on the list.
David Frost asked, question, what are the best preps for dental emergencies? Medicine, tools, books. I have a cracked filling. I might miss class today. Cheers, guys. P.S. I got a hold of USNER doc. Dave is a great guy.
Dave is a fantastic guy. I've known Dave for a number of years. And I mean, that is a tough one, but that's one that can be debilitating.
Yep. And I tell you, I think one of the most important things that you can have in your med kit is called Dentemp. It's a little like a paste putty type stuff that if you crack a tooth, if you lose a filling, Dentemp, you pack it in the tooth and bite down on it, and it creates a temporary filling in your tooth until you can get to the dentist and get it repaired. So that's always been one that I've been big on about keeping in my med kits is Dentemp. It's always good to have a little bit of mouthwash or some alcohol, liquor type, not isopropyl, but just something you can wash your mouth out with, keep your mouth rinsed out, keep bacteria and germs down. Toothbrush, toothpaste, baking soda, anything like that you can use to keep your teeth clean. But Dentemp, number one thing to keep in your bag for any type of dental emergency that you need to fill a gap or a crack in your tooth.
Yeah, and also to me, number 2 would be Oragel.
Mm-hmm.
And so Oragel is going to ease the pain. It's a local painkiller, and it can just go right there. I have had to use that in the past. Seems like anytime I have any kind of oral problems, it's on the weekend.
Oh yeah,
it's Friday night. I'm going, oh great, But teeth are extremely important. And there are some reference books out there as well. I think it's where there are no doctors. There's also where there are no dentists.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be something to have. But yeah, that's a great point that sometimes we overlook.
Minuteman for Jesus asked, is everyone ready for winter? I've been adding some new Arctic military gear to my kit. I live in International Falls, Minnesota, and it routinely gets seriously sub-zero here, negative 35 degrees sub-zero last winter.
Yeah, and you guys up there, especially in the Minnesota area and up in the northern states,
the frozen tundra.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of you guys are already prepared for a lot of that. Sometimes, a lot of times you do, but one of the things you got to be careful of, and this is one thing I've done over the years is I have my flip flops on, my shorts and t-shirt, and weather's okay, and I just go run to the store. Well, I quit doing that because number one, I need to have some good shoes, socks. I need to have a good jacket. So I started keeping some of that stuff in the car, but I try to think about it. If something were to happen, if I'm out, even on a short trip, what's going to happen? When winter gets here, it's even more important to be ready for, something that could happen. I read a few years ago where a guy was driving a Jeep. He was going at Christmas, and he was going from one family to another. And it was a real, just out in a very remote place. And he's driving along in the snow, and the Jeep slid off the road, went down into a ravine, and there was no way to get it out. And he and his family had to stay there overnight. They actually took the spare tire off the back, pulled it out, and built a fire in the rim of the tire. Mm-hmm. But he knew he had some tools and some things to be able to do it. So winter's coming, yes, and we need to start thinking about it. I mean, this morning I got up, and it was cold. Yeah. It was cold this morning. I was like, oh, I love it. That's why I still have my jacket on.
For those of us in the South, it was 54 degrees this morning.
It was crazy.
With low humidity as well. It was chilly this morning.
Yeah, but it's time to start thinking about winter preps and getting your situation together. So that's a good point.
Survival Synthesis asks, question, starting fires is great, but what about stopping them? What firefighting measures are good for when the government isn't available?
Well, obviously, fire extinguishers are great. Having one in your car is a great idea. I know we had a good friend of ours who was driving down the road. All of a sudden, his car started smoking. He pulled over, and that thing went up. He barely got just a couple of items out before that thing went up into flames.
Yeah, the fuel line broke, and it had an electric fuel pump. So as soon as the fuel line broke, it just dumped gas all over the engine, started a huge fire, and continued to pump gas until the battery exploded.
Okay, next is our battery explosion survivals. But we were in Dallas one time driving down the freeway, and a car was sitting on the side of the road just on fire. We were in Tennessee one time, and a truck was on fire. These things happen. So a fire extinguisher is number one. Just you can get a small fire extinguisher, that you keep. Make sure that you keep it maintained, because they do have a date. But
one of the big things around your home where you live is keeping any kind of dead brush and underbrush and things that can catch on fire away from your house, preferably trees away from your house. So if there is a forest fire that comes to your area, you don't have a bunch of combustible materials around your property that can bleed over into your home and create a buffer zone around your home that'll protect you as well.
And two, when you're building a fire, make sure that you have an area cleared out about 6 feet. It's good to have that area cleared out in case, you have embers and things like that tend to float. And then, of course, when you leave that fire area, take some dirt and dump it on top of it and get it out. Pouring water on it's good, but you may need that water. So just taking dirt and putting it on there. But yes,
a lot of times if you've had a fire burning for a while and you pour water on it, it'll smoke, it'll steam, and it'll look like it's out. But the embers will still be burning up under it. And an hour or two later, that fire can catch right back up.
That's true. So dirt really is one of the better options.
Gary Hernandez, Self-Defense and Urban Survival asks, hello guys, question. What is your opinion about prepping for when things may go bad and you may leave your place with a pregnant spouse? Thank you.
Whew. You know, that's I think it even says something about that in the Bible.
Yeah.
Just to pray that you're not with child when you have to evacuate. That's a tough one. That's a tough one, and especially according to how far along she is.
Right.
But it would be the same as having elderly people with you. I mean, you've got to just really, it's going to really slow things down. And it's funny, in this book, the guy's wife is pregnant, and
Really?
they're on the road trying to head to his family's out of a city. But you've got to make sure you take breaks, make sure you take it easy. And it's just like you're a refugee. If you're bugging out, you are a glorified refugee, is what you are. And you're leaving everything behind. You're taking with you what you have. So her carrying a big pack may not be an option according to how far along she is again. So,
and one of the big things too is you have to make sure where you're going that there's going to be medical care available for her there. Once she gets ready to deliver that child, you've got to make sure you've got someone there that knows what they're doing to be able to deliver that child, pre-delivery and post-delivery, both for her and for the baby.
Got a good pair of scissors.
Yeah.
And you got to be able to stitch up some stuff. So, definitely something to really think about. I mean, we live in a modern world. My wife was a labor and delivery nurse for over 20 years, and the mortality rate was very low. It was rare, super rare for the child to have complications, much less to pass away. But it did happen. And when you're,
and that's in the best of environments.
Exactly. So when you're out, it is a lot to consider there. Oh, by the way, and two, I do have a video on, in fact, I think Skinny Medic did it. It was about
labor and delivery.
It was a midwife kit.
Yeah.
And you might want to look into that. If you have a pregnant wife, go over to Medical Gear Outfitters. He has a really cool kit. In fact, Candace and I did the video where we talked about all the parts of it. And so that, to me, if you have a pregnancy close to you in any sense, I think that is a great thing to invest in.
Miko Runkle asked, question, do you have any experience or tips with water turbine generators? Have some property with a river connecting?
No, I don't. Engineer 775 would be someone. He has a great YouTube channel. He sets up prepping compounds. I mean, the guy's just a board genius, and he's done all kind of water movement, water power, ramjets, all kind of different stuff. So he would be the one to really, just really to contact, honestly, for different things if you need some information. But yeah, that's a great way, and it's something that happened back in the 1800s that was big. Okay, we're going to go one more question, and then we're going to jump back to our list.
Does anyone read or have the Foxfire books? Lots of disappearing skills and techniques in the Ultimate Preppers manuals.
Yeah, I have been meaning to get that for a number of years. I'm always picking up books, and that's one of the things on the list, which we'll just lead right into instead, is having a library, having the references, having the knowledge. It's a continuing education when it comes to prepping. It's a perishable skill. It's something you need to be working on. And so having good books, and the Foxfire books I've heard a lot about over the years. A couple that I would highly recommend is the Going Home series. It's excellent. And Chris Weatherman does a great job telling a story, but giving you information all at the same time. It's one of the best ways to learn. Also, James Wesley Rawls, his Survivor series is incredible. The first one I read, it was 30 years ago. I read Patriots.
Wow.
And it was the first book I'd ever read on that kind of subject. And I was like, oh my gosh, but it overwhelmed me because there was so much to do. I like Patriots or Survivors. That's a great one. And it's a series. So John Wesley Rawls is a good one. William Forstchen and The 1 Second After, and then his books from there. Brilliant mind. Does a really great job. There's a lot of good books. So having reference books, not just the novels, but also like the SAS Guide to Survival. I mean, that's a great one that's been around for a long time. The Thomas reference book, which just has all kind of different references and details and things, for a number of different just life hacks and things you need to know.
And I'll tell you one that a lot of people don't think about nowadays is the Boy Scout handbook.
Oh yeah, that's a great one.
Tons and tons of great information in the especially the older Boy Scout books. There's a ton of information in those. I actually just dug a couple out the other day from from the 70s and the early 80s.
Oh,
And it's going to
wow.
be something that I'm going to be looking through and making some notes from.
Yeah, there's a lot of information with those, and it, and again, having some kind of reference across the board. The Mormon is the Mormon Preparedness Bible, I think it's called. We've got one. It's just a big, thick book, and the Mormons have been doing this for years. So that's also a great reference and a great something to have in your library. Okay, we're going to continue. We'll take some more questions in a few minutes, but we want to kind of go through this list because we're already at 12:30.
Wow.
Okay, number 9 is duct tape. Now, duct tape's a big roll, and yeah, you can pack that away. But one thing that makes duct tape easy is to take it and have some kind of card. I wouldn't recommend a credit card necessarily because somebody might, well, in a bad situation, it probably won't matter. But take a credit card, something rigid, and just wrap that duct tape around it, and it makes a really compact package. But duct tape also offers a really flat, where they've taken corrugated plastic, and they'll go around it, and you can buy those. I found them at Lowe's, and when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's awesome. So I bought a bunch of them to put in different packs.
You can even step on the roll and flatten it out.
Yeah. Step on the roll, flatten that sucker out, but it's still
big.
Still big. Yeah. But you can do that. Okay. Contractor's bags, not trash bags, but really heavy meal contractor's bags. I did a video on like 25 uses for the contractor's bag. They are in every pack I have, even small packs that I might carry. Excuse me. But those things are heavy.
Yep.
There's a bazillion uses.
There are anything from ponchos to tents to, protective gear. I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can use those for.
Right. Water collection.
It's almost endless.
Hauling stuff.
That's right.
I mean, you name it. And the heavy meal are the ones you want to get. You can get them at Lowe's or Home Depot. Those are some of the best because that's for picking up big, bulky trash items.
Throwing wood chunks and everything else in it without tearing holes in the bag. They're super strong.
And they're big and they're just great. And so and they're fairly inexpensive. I mean, they're more expensive than your trash bags, but they're an inexpensive prep. Because you can get a big box of like 40, and man, we use them all the time here. We keep them here because we use them for different things. So contractor's bags. Number 11. Now this is kind of a funky one, but it's having a watch that is self-winding or a wind-up watch, having something that's not reliant on a battery. And, that way, in a world where it's off-grid, that's the only way you can be able to tell time unless you use a sundial.
EMP, all those electronics in your watch are going to be fried. They're not going to work anymore. Only that the old mechanical watches are going to be the only way that you're going to be able to tell time, like you said, unless you set up a sundial.
Right. And then you may need a watch. You may have a security team that's doing some exercise, or they're doing security. And each person has a watch to say, okay, this is the time, this is this, or let's meet at this time. And so having a watch that you can count on is going to be important if we have some sort of EMP or some kind of power grid. I mean, right now, California is going through rolling brownouts and blackouts and everything else. And there are other areas that have done the same. So it's just a good way to be able to tell time. You can also use it as a compass. And there's a way to line it up with the sun. And then, in fact, I did a video about it, how to use it as a compass to use a regular watch. So a lot of good uses and a lot of good reasons to have a wind up or a self-winding watch. I've got a couple. In fact, I'm getting ready to buy a couple more because I want for everybody to have one. Okay, now let's see what we got. Okay, mini EDC kit. And this is just something that, you keep. It's very similar to your office kit, but just having a few EDC items, again, flashlight, knife, things that you would carry, but you have a small pack, maybe some Band-Aids, maybe some things in there that's just really small. I did a video a few years ago on having small survival kits to hand out to people. So if you have a group and you've got your bag and you've got your stuff, but sometimes other people need them, and it gives you something to be able to give to them. But
I tell you, I put together a little fanny pack. Everybody laughs about them. Oh, the fanny pack.
Oh, they're back. They're back. Fanny pack.
So I put together a little fanny pack that is my stowaway EDC pack. If I need to grab something quickly, it's got everything in it that I needed. Like I said, so it's got some Band-Aids, it's got a flashlight, it's got my battery pack, it's got a pistol in it, a couple extra magazines, but it has all of the quick grab it and go essentials that I need in that little pack. I can throw it over my shoulder, little bandolier style or around my waist, whatever is most comfortable and quickest and most expedient. But
yeah, and if you have a big backpack on your back, you don't have to take that off to get to one little something,
one little thing that you need that's buried in the bottom of that backpack.
Right.
That's right.
So yeah, I've done a number of things on the Fanny Pack, and one of the things that I use it for all the time. Well, for martial arts, we do martial arts. So when my daughter and I and my son, we go to martial arts twice a week, and I'm in a gi, so I don't have all my stuff. So I put all my essentials, my phone, my wallet, my gun, my knife, my flashlight, all that goes in there. And so when I get there, they got little lockers. I throw it in there, and it's handy. Or if I'm at the beach, that's one of the big things. Going down to the beach,
right.
I've got everything I need right there. I keep it separate. It keeps it out of the sand and stuff like that. So Fanny Packs have a lot of good uses to them. So,
they do.
So that mini EDC kit is that's definitely a good segue for your kit. Okay. Travel size shampoos, travel size soaps, travel size mouthwash, again, dental, even dental floss. Dental floss is good to have. But having those travel size, you can go into some of these big box stores and they've got the travel size stuff everywhere, and you can use those to put in your packs. And it's just a very handy, easy way. Instead of a big bar soap and a big this and a big that shampoo, it makes it a small package to be able to carry. Okay, local maps. We've talked about maps quite a bit.
We have.
Maps are important. Paper maps. And a lot of people ask, well, where can you get paper maps? Because you don't see them that often.
Right.
But truck stops. Truck stops are one of the best places. You can order maps, obviously, but local maps. Some of the gas stations we have, especially on an interstate.
Welcome centers, great place to pick them up.
Welcome centers. It gives you a lot. It gives you, if you don't have, we're so reliant on GPS. And I did a video a couple of years ago where I got actually lost and my GPS went out and my phone was dying anyway. And it kept changing because they had redone the roads and I was in the middle of nowhere. And I had to use a paper map to get me back to the interstate. It was pretty crazy. So having a paper map in your vehicle or just in your bag if you need it. Okay, maps. And we've done videos on maps. Okay, Blackout Box. We've got winter coming. Winter's coming. To me, it's very important to have your Blackout Box.
I tell you, the first time the power goes out and you're scrambling around trying to find candles and a flashlight, you're essentially blind in your own home. You're walking around touching everything, banging your shin, stubbing your toe. Having that Blackout Box that you can walk over there and pick it up, open it up, and it's got all of your essentials in there to provide you some light, a little bit of heat, whatever from the candles, flashlights to be able to get you through that blackout. You'll be like, I'm putting one of these in every room in the house. Everybody's going to have one. I will never stub another toe on the bottom of a chair or a table. Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that's not even, that's a prep just for power outages, but it's just a great prep to have. It's something you can use at any time when the power goes out.
That's like my EDC stuff. That is a everyday essential to have in the home.
Right. And we have a whole video on things you need to put in there. One's a rain jacket. It needs to be a pretty decent size, but you can make them small if you want. If all you want is a flashlight, a candle, and some matches. That's right. Well, that'll get you started. You can find the rest of your stuff, but there is nothing worse than when that light goes out. And it's kind of like you go, uh-oh. And you're going, okay, instead go, where's my Blackout Box, and know where it is and get it and go.
Or even worse, when you've got a little kid, 2, 3, 4 years old, and the power goes out and they're the other end of the house and all you hear is a scream from them. And it's like dark. You can't see anything. And you're banging around trying to get down the hall to where they are and comfort them. And that Blackout Box, good stuff.
And there is a video on it. Like I said, you can check that out. Just look under the magnifying glass. You can search and just put blackout and it'll come up. Okay, number 16, stash some cash. Some cash. Your phone case. It's just an ideal place to put $20. I was thinking, I hope I didn't take that out. I've told all my kids, I said, put $20 back in your phone behind the back. And that way you've got $20. And you don't think about it. I forget about it. But if I'm in a bad situation, then all of a sudden I go, oh, my phone. And I'll pull out the $20. I've had to do it in the past. You can get belts that have little zippers on the inside, and you can tuck that away. Your billfold, obviously, is one of those things that, if you keep it where you regularly keep your cash, you can use it.
Yep.
But if you tuck it away and you go, okay, I got a $20 bill back here. But not only cash, coins also can be important. To me, we don't have the pay phones and things like that as much,
right?
But still, coins can be important to have those set aside. But have that extra cash just put back because ATMs may be down. You may be pulling up somewhere and you're like, oh, we can only take cash. We were in an Arby's the other day and their credit card machine went out and they said, hey, before you order, we only take cash. And I was like, okay, good. Because I got cash.
I've been several places lately that were like that, different restaurants and things that either their credit card machine was down or they only were taking cash at the time.
Yeah.
So cash is becoming much, much more important than it has been in years past.
Now, the downside to that is that they are working really hard to take cash out of the system. I mean, they are working hard to turn it into electronic only, and you get your mark and all that. But really, guys, you need to be politically minded on this. I will say this one thing is, as far as politics, when it comes to your cash and them taking it away, it's taking away all of our freedom. So make sure that you have cash. In fact, right now, the credit card companies are getting ready to recategorize any gun purchase, ammunition purchase, gun parts, anything to do with firearms. It's going to come under a separate category. This is only going to be a tracking device for us that buy things like that. It's going to put you on a list. It takes away your privacy. So cash may be more important than it's ever been when you're making purchases for firearms. So just FYI. Okay.
Well, one of the big things that we offer for our customers that are out of state, if they don't want to purchase from us with a credit card, they can mail us a check or mail us a money order, and we'll box everything up and ship it to them.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot more customers start to use that service and mail us a check or mail us a money order for products that they purchase instead of buying it online because of that.
Right. So that is coming, of course. And again, it's going to, it will affect your privacy. So what I love is criminals aren't using credit cards and bank cards to buy anything. This is just an infringement outright. Okay, we're going to go to one more, and then we're going to jump on to the questions to give you guys a chance. One thing, this is just a small tip, and there's two of them with this one. One of them is if you are in a house that's on fire and you need to escape. Now, this is one of those things where before you grab the door and go in, you need to do a heat test. The door in front of you, you need to check to see. And so the first thing is a lot of people grab the handle, which, you need to test it to see if it's really hot. Don't use the palm of your hand. Use the back of your hand. That way, in case it's hot and you scald yourself, you're not scalding the inside of your hand. You may need to use that hand. And if you have it burned, it's going to be a lot more. You may not even be able to use it at all. So put that back of the hand. Okay, and that's for fire test. Let me give you this one tip. And I got this from my sensei at our school. He said one thing is when you put your hands up, if somebody comes and mugs you or they get ready to rob you, when you put your hands up, active submission. Of course, I'm carrying conceal, but I don't care. They can get the drop on you.
Yep.
If you put your hands up, turn your hands, your palms towards your face and do this. And the reason why is because if you do this and they have a knife, they can cut your arm like this. And not only can it cause you to bleed out, but it can cut those tendons, cut those ligaments, and you'll have no use for your hand. Do this. They can cut here and it's not as bad. So just a small tip. I thought I'd pass that along. But if you ever have to raise your hands, do this. It'll save you. Okay, let's go to a few more questions and then we're going to finish out the list.
I am all right. Ask question. I'm looking to set up an offsite storage facility with supplies. Any tips on where, how far away, what type, etc.?
The one thing about setting things off site, which we do, we have a storage unit that we keep with and we stash. It's our cash, and we keep certain items in there in case for some reason we can't make it home. Maybe there's a roadblock. Maybe there's something going on. Maybe our house is being compromised and we have to get out quicker than we can grab our stuff. We have a site that we keep our stuff there. Now, the one thing about that is it has a fence around it, has security around it. So, it's going to keep it a little more safe than just a remote warehouse, cabin, something that you've got out in the middle of nowhere. So that to me is the biggest threat to having an off storage site. Is that, you know, it can be, it's hidden, but it's definitely a security issue. So you'll want to really make sure that you have that very secure. And honestly, there's nothing that you can get so secure that is not somewhat vulnerable.
Exactly. Nothing's totally secure. But yeah, I love what you guys do with your storage facility or storage locker. And it doesn't have to be a big one. You know, you can get a small storage locker that you can keep some essentials and supplies in there that's off site, and it's very inexpensive. And for me, that is one of the best places that you can store items, is in a storage locker that's inside a fenced off area. It's generally locked. It's generally monitored during the day. There's somebody there, and they have cameras there at night. So you get an extra layer of security there than you would just putting it in if you've got an offsite cabin or something that you're storing things at.
But now those can be compromised. I had my parents did that one time. They had a bunch of stuff stored, and they had it there for about 3 days, and somebody broke into it and stole a bunch of stuff. So we think it was the person that owned it, though. So you might want to vet that as well. But yeah, the big danger of putting stuff in the other thing about having your supplies, all your supplies in a remote location, whether it's a cabin, off-grid cabin, or property or whatever, is that you may not be able to get there. You know, because in a crisis situation, freeways can get locked down, and cars can have accidents, and cars just break down, and you may not be able to get out. And so, you know, that's one thing you need to consider.
ALA for Christ ask, if you guys were only able to do one prep this afternoon to prep for SHTF tomorrow, what would it be?
Food.
Water.
Well, I'm going to tell you why food. And water is more important in the short term. There is water. If you have a filter, you need to have some kind of filter system. But because we talked about this Sunday night, food is one of those things to where it's not like you can instantly have more food. If I need more water, I can run down to my creek, down to the spring. I can, you know, go to there's a river right close. There's a lake just right over from us. I can go and get water, and I can filter it out. Water is more vital. You live 3 days without water, 3 weeks without food. But food is something that if your grocery stores ran out of food and you've run out of food at your home, you're done. Unless you have huge gardens. And even then, it takes time to cultivate all that. Hunting, yeah, that's another option. But I'm going to tell you, when the Depression hit, it almost wiped out wildlife. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Life wild. It almost wiped them out. So to me, even though food is a little bit less on the priority list as far as got to have in time, food is something you can't replace over in a short time.
Right.
So that to me is one of the things, and I'm going to just tell you this as a group, get your food put away, stock up food. That is vital. If you can have guns and all kind of crap, and you can, and two, that's the other thing, you know, some people are like, well, I got my gun, I'll take what I want, which shame on you, but you know, I'll take what I want. The problem is they may not have any food. And so you can run around with a gun all you want, but you can't get food. So food is one of those things that when it runs out, it's not going to be good. I mean, there's a lot of other options that we can use for almost any other prep. Food's perishable. Food will just end if it's not completely replenished. So vital.
Prep and text and ask, what's a realistic situation you would bug out for other than a hurricane? In my opinion, 99% of all SHTF scenarios are bunker in for me.
And it should be.
There's a lot of them, you know, forest fires, flooding, hurricanes, earthquakes, all of those. There's lots of natural disasters that can push you out of your home and force you to have to leave. A lot of people out west right now, Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, have been displaced because of all these forest fires from the droughts that they're having out there right now. You know, we're talking thousands of people that have been displaced recently just because of forest fires. We're getting into hurricane season here on the East Coast. Hurricanes are going to push people out. We've had over 200 earthquakes in South Carolina just this year. Now, they've been little micro earthquakes, like up to 3s and below, but one big earthquake could wipe out the entire state and push everybody out of the state overnight. Flooding. We've got flooding on the East Coast, flooding in the Midwest right now, flooding in Arizona that has pushed people out of their homes. All of those are things that can force you out quickly.
And there's two other things. One is, and we had one here, is what made me even consider this. There was a train coming with a bunch of toxic materials.
Yep.
It had an accident and it displaced 1,500 people, not only just a number of miles from here, not that far from here. And they were immediately evacuated. They had to just leave. So that was one thing. The other thing is, if you are being attacked, if you're being, if you're being overrun, you're going to have to, hit the road. And the thing is like for us, we have family down here. We have a lot of people at our place, and we can hold out against a pretty large group with what all we have. But you can sooner or later be overrun. Yep. And so that is probably the other thing. So, but I am huge about bunkering in. You should never bug out if at all possible.
That's right. Last option.
But now, if you live in an urban area, you need to consider bugging out really quickly, because that's something that can deteriorate and put you in a really vital, a lot of danger, you and your family. And we've been about that a number of things, but there are reasons to have a bug out plan in place and have a destination. Okay, we're going to get through our list. All right. Utilities, having tools to be able to shut off utilities. And so, being able to shut off the gas, shut off the water, shut off those things. If you need to do it, if there's some kind of natural disaster or something that's going on, you need to have the ability. You need to know where those places are. You need to know where your power box is to be able to shut that down if you need to. So a storm, something could happen, electrical lines are in your house that are live or something's happening. You need to know how to shut all that off.
Earthquakes.
Earthquakes.
You need to be able to know how to shut off the water.
Right.
Know where your box is in your yard for your city water, and have a street key to where you can turn it off.
Right. And, we've got the big old thing goes down, and I've had to turn it off before for other reasons. Yep. So that's one thing to just one of those tips. Keep your cars and trucks filled. Don't let them get below half a tank.
That's right. Always
keep them filled. We always try to get our gas loaded up, and keep our cars full at all times. Because something can happen like that, and then all of a sudden you got lines, trucks are, stations are empty.
That's right. Just like we had last year before last, when the pipeline was hacked, and it basically shut down the fuel supply to the East Coast. They were having to truck fuel from across the country just so we could have gas here on the East Coast. And it went from, there's a hack, not a big deal, everybody's going about their business. Within 24 hours, it became national news. It was what everyone was talking about, and the gas stations went from having plenty of gas to gone, just like that.
It was one thing we did. I had read about it. It was like I just saw it, and it was like, oh. And then I went up to the gas station and I called my family. I said, hey, everybody, make sure you grab gas real quick.
That's right.
We got up there. There was nobody there, one or two cars, blah, blah, blah.
And that was about lunchtime that day.
I filled up. Then I went back home, got a bunch of jerry cans, brought them up, filled them up, took them back. All of a sudden, you're right. It was like, this is a thing, guys. This is with all of this stuff we're talking about.
That's right.
Everybody's asleep. Everybody's asleep. Then panic hits. When panic hits, it's too late.
That's right.
Get your stuff now. That's the big thing. Food, again. You don't want to wait until they go, the trucks have stopped.
Well, like with this locomotive, the engineer strike with the locomotives there, and that's going on today. They're in negotiations, I guess, with their union, but all of the locomotive engineers across the country are looking at going on strike today. If these locomotive engineers go on strike, that is going to shut down rail travel for all railroad companies nationwide overnight. Boom, gone. No more goods or products being delivered by rail overnight.
And there's a lot of goods that are being shipped by rail.
Even your tractor trailers. You look at your tractor trailers, you see them, they're driving down the road, cutting you off and all this, trying to kill you when you're driving on the interstate. Just saying, there's that guy out there. He knows who he is. But
all those stupid drivers, what he's saying.
But here's the thing. A lot of these tractor trailers are shipped, the trailers themselves are shipped across the country by rail.
That's right.
And are picked up at the rail yard by the truck drivers and then delivered to their final destination. All of that's going to stop, gone. None of those trucks will be getting delivered. That's a 3-day trip from goods that have to come from California to the East Coast. 3 days to get them here. So what could be here in a day by Locomotive is now going to be 3 or 4 days to get those goods here, what they can get here. So just something to be aware of and keep an eye out for.
Okay. Now, let's see, we're on number 20. Reinforce your doors. You know, if there's nothing else, take 3-inch wood screws and drive it in to those plates. You can get reinforced plates. You can make sure you got a deadbolt. Get your doors taken care of. One thing, we had a break-in a few years ago, and when we first bought our house, and we had not set up our security system yet. And we had a break-in. In fact, I was up at Robbie's right before that. I came here, and the break-in happened. The guy came through the window. The cops told me, they said, that's weird. Most of the time they come through the doors. It's unusual for them to come through a window. Not that they don't do that, obviously. Sometimes windows are easier, but typically they come through doors. Reinforce your doors. Make sure. We have a big metal door, and we've got it reinforced. But the problem is not the door. It's the framing casing that goes around it. Excuse me, Mr. Bloom. And so, you know, everything, but reinforcing that and making it more difficult for them to kick that in. And you've seen it. If you follow, especially Instagram, you know, you see these different crime things and you see these guys come up, they kick the door and they'll keep kicking until it comes in. And then that's when Mr. 12 gauge takes over. But anyway, reinforce your doors. All right. Situational awareness. Obviously, it's one of the mantras that we use here. Don't have your head in the sand. Look around. There are kidnappings that are going on. There are people that are being abducted, women. I mean, you're seeing it in the news, and it's happening all over. So be aware. Make sure you take steps to get yourself, and don't put yourself in a bad situation. And I've heard this, people go, well, this is America. I'll do what I want to. I should be free to do whatever I want to. Well, yeah, you should. But sometimes you should really take caution to preserve your own self or your families. If your wife is getting up real early in the morning, she's going for a run, you need to maybe think about that.
That's right.
You know, my Sarah Mack, the company she worked for, she had to leave here about 4:45 or 5 in the morning. Every morning I got up, even though it was just in our driveway. I got up every morning and I walked right to her car, because you would be shocked at how much crime happens in the early morning hours, right there before work time. I mean, it's crazy, because a lot of these people are up all night anyway. Okay, so situational awareness, but also threat assessment, which goes right along with that. So let's say you're aware of something, but you're just aware. You've got to also have a plan. And the threat assessment is, what actions am I going to take? I relayed this story recently. A buddy of mine who's a cop said he had a friend of his that was a police officer. He was walking into a convenience store, full uniform. He was just stopping by to grab some gum or something. And he was counting his change as he walked to the door, and he just opened the door and a dude was standing there with a 12 gauge in his face. Before you walk into a shop or store, just glance in, say, okay, everything looks like it's going good. If you look in there and people are nervous and they're standing kind of funny, then don't go in the door. So that is just one thing about threat assessment in situational awareness, is be aware. And in fact, before he told me that, I just walk in a store. I wasn't thinking about it. So it's one of those lessons.
And we've got the holiday season coming up as well. We have to be more aware, especially in parking lots, at gas stations, in stores where you go to shop, both going into the store and coming back out to your car. You have to be more aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
It's critically important this time of year, even more so than other times of the year.
Now, here's a big one. And this is one actually I just came across that I thought was pretty interesting. Toilet paper. Toilet paper takes up a lot of room, takes up a lot of space. You get one of those big 24 packs and it's like, and we got them stacked up. If you are running out of room, take your toilet paper out. Flatten it out. Even if you need to remove the core, flatten it out. Flatten it all out. Put it into a plastic container, and you can really get a lot of toilet paper stuffed down like that. And then when you need it, take a PVC pipe, close it, and run it through it. So if you need to get the toilet paper off, you can do it that way. But that way you can just compress that toilet paper and to be able to use it, similar to your duct tape.
Yep.
But toilet paper is a lot easier to smash down.
Squish, yep. And
yeah, it's still going to wipe. It's still going to give you a good wipe. So, that's one thing. If you have a lot of toilet paper, and it's a good way to store it if you're running out of room. Okay. 23, actually this is 24, because the 25 is continuing education, and that had to do a lot with books and things like that. So we've already hit on that. Routine maintenance. Guys, check your stuff. Check your Bic lighters. man, I can't count the times I pulled out a Bic lighter and a pack to check it, and it goes, it's like, what the crap, and it won't do anything because it's seized up. So, make sure your batteries are good. Make sure that you have things maintained. Make sure that your bag is in good shape.
And all your other items. Maintain your car. Make sure your house is maintained. Keep an eye on your roof. Check your plumbing. Check your hot water heater under your house. These things that, our day-to-day lives, we were like, oh, it's fine. Go under your house once a week or twice, once or twice a month. Check your hot water heater. Check your pipes. Make sure you don't have leaks under there. Just the routine maintenance stuff that's day-to-day, it's mundane. Everybody wants to forget about it. Make sure you stay on top of that.
So, yes, maintaining different things, organizing your supplies. And this is the last one. And we don't have to really go into this too much, but having a general idea of what you have an area where you keep those things, possibly list things out, knowing where it is. Because here's the thing, if you don't know what you have, you just have supplies and you're just piling them in, you don't know where the holes are. And so
3 words, label your containers.
Right.
That way you know what's in there.
We just bought one of those label makers. Those things are great. And you can just tap it in and you can put an adhesive label and put things on there. Know your supplies, because if something happens, you want to make sure you know where it is and how you can get to it, what you need. All right, guys. Well, we kind of blew through that list. That was a lot of information. I hope it helps. Down below in the description, there are some key words that might help you to recall different things. But there's so much in prepping, and this isn't really a category. It's just like a bunch of different little small tips. Now, we wanted to kind of bring that to you to get you to thinking, and hopefully it'll spur you into other things. We really appreciate Robbie Wheaton for being here. And again, check out WheatonArms.com. Does custom gun work. If you need an RMR cuts, or you need, slide cuts, if you need different things, get in touch with him. Also, he does incredible Glock aftermarket parts. In fact, the PSA Dagger now, all their upgrades are using Wheaton Arms parts. So that says a lot about what he's doing. And also his YouTube channel.
Yes, sir. Make sure you check out Robbie Wheaton on YouTube.
Check him out. And also, we really appreciate Sarah Mack for taking care of all the questions and keeping us in line, if possible. And also Battle Box, guys, the best subscription service out there, especially for the prepper. I mean, they've got a lot of great items in there, and you get 15% off using Prepper in the coupon code. And to me, it's a great resource. I've been getting battle boxes for years. Also, Exotac for fire starters. They are the best on the market, and you get 20% off using the code, using Sootch20 down below with the link in the description. And we really appreciate those guys for helping us out today. And we really appreciate you guys for being here and hanging out with us, and hope it helped. And guys, make sure that you get yourself prepared for whatever's coming. Nobody knows when or what or if. We just know that there's some really crazy stuff going on in our world, and we just want to be prepared for ourselves and our families. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic.